Global happenings today. We communicate. We analyze global news.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to our channel. Some few hours ago, Wike, the FCT minister, granted an interview, and most Nigerians, of course, expected that he would definitely touch that soft spot, which is Fubara and Rivers crisis, and he couldn't really escape. He couldn't hide it. The temptation was too strong for him not to touch it, and he did touch it. And of course, one of the new legal luminaries handling the case of Fubara in Rivers State, of course, decided to knock Wike back to back. In a moment, you're going to get to hear all of these juicy details into one. Before we go to the news proper, kindly subscribe to our channel. Let's hit the ground running. But first, let us start with what Wike said. That also is making Femi Falana, senior advocate of Nigeria, also to knock him back to back. Now, according to the news, Wike, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, has spoken about how Governor Siminalayi Fubara is managing Rivers State 2024 budget dispute. Now, in an interview, Wike said that President Tinubu had advised Fubara to represent his budget through the proper legislative process, but Fubara declined. He said the court ruled against Fubara's initial budget presentation to a faction of only 4 lawmakers, declaring it as unconstitutional. And now, according to Wike, the Martin Emehiele-led faction of the Rivers State House of Assembly sought judicial intervention, emphasizing that by law, Governor Fubara could not continue to access funds from the state's consolidated revenue without an approved budget. Now, Wike said that the court ruled that Fubara must halt all state expenditures until the budget is formally represented and approved by the entire assembly. Wike highlighted that both the Federal High Court and the Court of Appeal backed this decision, stressing the importance of following due process in managing state finances. Wike added that what the Emehiele-led faction of the House of Assembly want is for Fubara to do the right thing. In Wike's words, let me quote it word for word. He said, President Tinubu appealed to you to go and rescind your budget. You said no, you won't do that. You said you won't do what Mr. President said. No problem. Now court gave judgment, and the Court of Appeal accepted to the judgment, and you're still saying no. Of course, the person of Femi Falana, senior advocate of Nigeria, also. Recall that sometime in October, Wike, the FCT minister, flagged off the design and construction of 40 judges' quarters in the Katankpe district in the nation's capital, Abuja, which has generated controversy, with many arguing that it is unethical. Now, Falana, while speaking some few hours ago, argued that it is wrong for the executive to give gifts to the members of the judiciary, especially judges. Now, the minister of the Federal Capital Territory operates like a state governor by virtue of Section 299 of the Constitution. So he cannot say, I am going to build 40 houses, 10 shall go to the Federal High Court, 10 shall go to the judges in the FCT High Court, and 10 shall go to the Court of Appeal and Supreme Court. No. Because you are a minister of the federal capital, because you're a minister of the federal government like a state governor, your budget is limited to the affairs of the FCT. So you cannot, as the head of the FCT, be dishing out gifts of cars, houses to judges in the Federal High Court, in the Appeal Court, and in the Supreme Court. Number 2, you have cases before this court on the theory of equality before the court. You cannot be seen to be giving cars or houses to the judges who are going to determine your cases, he said. Now, the senior lawyer said this is the reason the autonomy of the judiciary has been constitutionalized, stressing that the judges have no business going to the executive to buy them cars and houses. Now, according to him, the Constitution has granted financial autonomy to the judiciary, which gives it authority to manage its own budget. The human rights activist also berated Wike over the demolition of private properties in the FCT, that's Federal Capital Territory, describing it as primitive and a breach of the law. Now, he says such demolitions are not He says such demolitions are not authorized under the Urban and Regional Planning Act applicable in the FCT. Let me quote him. He said, in the FCT, if a house has breached the law, the case must first be taken to the Urban and Regional Planning Board. Now, if the property owner loses, they can appeal to the Urban and Regional Tribunal. If that fails, the case may go to the High Court, where an order for demolition may be issued, he added. But Wike just went straight down and did basketballs on the building. Okay, but my colleague is in the house. Let's look at this critically. While Wike is talking about River State and the fact that despite the fact that the president had begged Fubara to re-represent this 2024 budget to Martin Emehiele, that he refused, saying that it is unconstitutional. Honestly, that budget is really disturbing Wike so much. And the fact that Falana is saying to Wike, you can't be dishing out cars and houses. You are part of the executive arm. You have case pending in court. Now, of course, that will not allow free autonomy of the judiciary. What's your take? My colleague is in the house. What's your take on this latest development? Judging the fact that Falana also is representing Rivers in this matter as well.
Well, on this issue, talking about what Wike said yesterday and what Falana said, don't forget that the media chat was organized by him. So even when I was watching it, I realized there were some restrictions in the question he was being asked. And sometimes the media personnel want to ask deeper questions, but you see him halting them and all of that. Now, when he was talking about the issue of Fubara, one of the things one of the media wanted to ask him was, let's go back to the origin of this whole thing, the presentation of the budget to 3 members of the House. How did we get there? He played down on it immediately, pushed it aside and brought up another issue and all of that. Just we all know how he, deals with cases like that. And also, when the issue of judges came up, he was really mad at the fact that, they were talking about Fubara came out and was talking down on judges. That insane claims, he may even be in prison, because of how he talked down that if he doesn't have a proof that, for example, Tinubu, when they asked him to reshuffle the cabinet because of corruption issues and all of that Tinubu said, hey, let me have an evidence, a proof that corruption has taken place and I'll do the bidding. Now that should be exactly what the judiciary shall do. It sounded very good in his ears, because he was the one who organized it. But, I love the fact that he is not the only lawyer in Nigeria. There are people who have practiced far beyond him, and there are people who know the judicial code of conduct, because I think all judges and judicial officers are guided by the code of conduct. And one of the major ones that I know that has triggered so much concern on the part of the people is, what are the people thinking when you take a particular action? That should be topmost, because when we're talking about judges, we are talking about independency. We are talking about interpreters of law. We are talking about people who are meant to be impartial, non-partisan in all respect. So if you want to maintain your status of being impartial in judgment, why should you be having engagement with politicians? Why should a politician be allowed? Just look at what Falana tried to let him understand. FCT is strictly, everything about FCT is strictly meant for, that's the budget of it is strictly meant for the people of FCT. Trying to navigate into the area of judicial, officers, giving them houses, gift of houses and all of that. You're trying to win their house. Don't act as though you don't know what you're doing. Because that is one of the things that have made Nigerians to feel very vexed, acting as though you don't know what you are doing. But you are, and actually, you know what you are doing. Even in Ibege also, a very renowned lawyer, had also spoken up about this whole issue. Building houses, or why you have cases. We'll say you are a major litigant right now. You have cases in court, and you are busy giving, who is a child? At a point, you need to try to, stop acting as though you don't know what you're doing. Because unfortunately, you're a politician. So being a politician, we all know that you don't dash out anything on the grounds of you want to please anybody. You're doing it because you're trying to win favor. That's who politicians are. You understand? So Falana is trying to beat him to the center. Let him understand that this law you're talking about, you're not the best practitioner of it. We are major practitioners and all of that. So I think that it's good enough that people should come up and speak up constantly. We are not talking down on judiciary because we disrespect them and all of that. But before you became a lawyer, countless have been lawyers. And we've seen some high level. Look at what Professor Odinkalu said some few days ago. He made mention of the fact that before Kekeredon became the CGN of Nigeria, that there have been 4 from Lagos. And none of those 4 had ever been dragged into a case of saying, let us organize grand reception for you because you are the best, blah, blah, blah. And this thing is not even being done by an ordinary person. It's been done by a litigant. Someone who has a case before the Supreme Court. He's the one that is doing this. When the issue of saying, oh, is our daughter and you want to give her all the respect and all of it, should be at the end of her tenure as the CGN. You now call her up because that alone will perfect everything. Conflict of interest. Don't we know what conflict of interest is? How can I become an individual and maybe I'm giving out contract and my son is also one of the contractors and I'm pretending as if people won't think I'm going to be impartial. Come on. Conflict of interest should come into play. That as long as, you have a case in court, as long as you're a politician, you shouldn't give gift to judges. No matter how you say it, it is wrong. Wherever you take it to, it's wrong. Whether it is international law or even in national law, local laws or come on, how can I be going to the king to present a case before him and going with a gift? I want to play down. I want to see how I can get his mind to give me what I want.
So literally now we may be expecting that now that Wike is doing this, we may not be getting the true intent.
Do you understand?
Of what we're looking at. I guess that's what Falana is trying to look
exactly. at. Stop all of this issue of giving them gift. Leave it to the Judicial Council. They should be the one to handle these cases. Face your court case and allow it to flow seamlessly so that Nigerians will not begin to question, because as long as you give them gift and at the end of the day you come out successful in your case, law, we all know what law is. Law can be interpreted anyhow by anybody depending on his mindset.
All right, let's hope they interpret it using the Nigerian Constitution.